So this question is a translate word problem question. We know that just given the length of the question. Typically translate word problem questions are 4 or more, so 4+ lines long. And all this strategy means is that we want to translate as we read instead of reading through the entire question and then trying to find an answer. So let's start reading, and I can give you kind of a sense of how I process this. So the question says the mesosphere is the layer of Earth's atmosphere between 50 kilometers and 85 kilometers above the surface of the Earth. So I know that, 50 km is important, and then we have 85 km is important, and in between here is our mesosphere. Right, so that's my translation. That's my visual translation of the first sentence. So the next sentence says, at a distance of 50 kilometers from Earth's surface, the temperature of the mesosphere is -5 degrees Celsius. Okay, we'll already have this line that represents 50 kilometers, so I'm just going to write next to it -5 degrees Celsius. And at a distance of 80 kilometers from Earth's surface, the temperature in the mesosphere is -80 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to just add a little dash line. It doesn't really matter that I dash it. I'm going to say that this is -80 degrees Celsius, and this is 80 kilometers there. All right, so again, that's my visual translation of the next sentence. So then the question goes on to say, for every additional 10 kilometers from Earth's surface, right? So Earth's surface is down here. Here's the surface. So for every additional 10 kilometers from Earth's surface, the temperature in the mesosphere decreases by K degrees Celsius, where K is a constant. What is the value of K? So I know that I'm decreasing by a constant amount for every 10 kilometers. So from 50, which is the first temperature that I understand or that I've been given, I know that at 60, I'm going to decrease by K, right? And then at 70, I'm going to decrease by another K. And then by the time I get to 80, I'm going to decrease by another K, and that K will get me to -80. So really all this is asking me is how fast is this temperature decreasing? So, well, what's the total decrease from -5 degrees to -80 degrees? That's a total of a -75 degrees Celsius change, right? If I'm starting at -5, if I subtract 75, I'll get to 80. Now, how many kilometers did it take for me to get there? Well, it took 30 kilometers. However, I know that this temperature change happens, this K degrees happens in increments of 10 degrees. So although I've gone up by 30 kilometers, I'm going to put the number 3 here because that 3 represents 3 increments of 10 kilometers. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. This 3 really represents 30 kilometers, but my temperature is changing, or this K value is relevant to 10 or units, or I'm sorry, increments of 10 kilometers. So when I divide -75 by 3, I get -25 degrees Celsius. And again, this negative, right, we can't put negative signs as our answer. So this negative really just means 25 degrees Celsius decrease per 10 kilometers. Okay, so therefore K must equal 25. And we could test that out. You could always, depending upon how much time you had at this stage, you could always kind of do guess and check. You could say, well, what happens when K is 10? You'd see that that's not large enough. You may say, what happens when K is 50? You see that that'd be too big. And you can narrow your way down to 25. But this is the most straightforward way. If this all makes sense to you, this is the most straightforward way to get there without having to guess and check.